Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, and I'm back to bring you another episode review from Season 8 of The Loud House. So let's get right into it. Today's episode is The Weakest Ink. In this episode, the Moon Goats plan on getting matching tattoos, but Luna is too scared of the pain to get one herself. Usually whenever I hear there's going to be an episode starring Luna, I always expect it's going to be a story that either deals with music or something that deals with her relationship with Sam. Those have always been some of her best episodes in my opinion. Unfortunately, this episode doesn't play to any of those integral parts of her character, and honestly, the story is far too generic for someone like her. The vibe I get from the story is the same one I got from Hiccups and Downs, meaning it could have gone to any character and the conflict would have had the exact same resolution. The story is about the Moon Goats intending to keep their promise about getting matching tattoos following their latest band video reaching 100,000 views. Random side note, the Moon Goats internet video uses recycled footage from the episode Band Together. Anyway, Luna goes to schedule her appointment at the tattoo parlor, but after Chunk tells her about the pain he's had to endure for the many tattoos he's gotten over the years, this freaks her out and she doesn't want to get one anymore. Because she displayed signs of weakness as she was walking out, I might as well make the obvious game show reference, and I'm gonna let my friend Theme Tunes have the honor of saying it. Theme, if you would be so kind.
Luna Loud, you are the weakest ink. Goodbye.
Alright, got that out of the way, now back to the review. We find out Luna has a low threshold for pain. A pretty relatable thing in all honesty, so we get a little expansion to her character. After all, this isn't the first time she's gone through a very painful experience as we've seen quite a few times before. Not wanting to back out of her promise to the band, her sisters try to toughen her up by subjecting her to very uncomfortable situations to build up her tolerance for pain. Their methods were... well, they certainly played to their respective characters, that much I will say. As expected, none of these methods work, so Luna decides to do what Lily did and just get a temporary tattoo that comes off in water. Of course, by the time she meets up with her band at the park for their latest music gig, she has to endure a bunch of water sports before it's time to go on stage. At first, I thought the water balloon fights and squirt guns were just conveniently placed there to make conflict, but then I remembered the name of the gig was cleverly named Beats in the Heat. You know, beats as in music and using water to cool yourself down from the heat. Yeah, I know, I should have put two and two together the first time. Anyway, Luna does everything she can to avoid getting water on her tattoo, even going so far as to use face paint in a very poor attempt to keep it together after getting soaked with a spray bottle. Unfortunately, she has no choice but to get wet when she jumps into the lake to rescue Scoots following an incident with her wave runner. She reveals her tattoo was a fake and feels bad for having broken her promise. Then, in a shocking yet predictable plot twist, the rest of the band confessed that they too were also scared to get real ink and revealed their fake tattoos as well. Originally, I thought everyone's collective revelation was just thrown in there at the last minute, but when I went back and rewatched the scene where everyone was showing their tattoos to Luna, I noticed a few verbal and non-verbal cues that suggested they were lying about their respective experiences. Sam wasn't making eye contact with her girlfriend, Mazzy stumbled over her words for a split second, and even Sully's eyes looked kinda guilty. Or maybe that's just me reading too much into that one. Plus, some of their excuses about not wanting to jump into the water to save Scoots were pretty bad. Except the one about Sam eating funnel cake, that one kinda made sense. But yeah, Mazzy couldn't just take off her coolest and heaviest boots before jumping in the water. It sounds like she would have been perfectly okay with letting an old lady drown, all because she didn't want anyone to find out she broke a pinky promise about getting a real tattoo. That's a level of cold-blooded selfishness I didn't think a character in this series could ever reach. Then again, why was Scoots allowed to be on a wave runner in the first place? I have no idea. But anyway, the Moon Goats predictably vowed to be upfront about their fears going forward, and they decide to celebrate their 100,000 view streaming record with matching bracelets. Oh yeah, and jamming out with music, certainly can't forget that. Overall, for this being an episode starring Luna, it's extremely basic in its storytelling, which can either be a good or a bad thing depending on who you are. It has the kind of story where literally anyone could have been the central character going through the same exact conflict, albeit with different circumstances, and the end result would not be any different. However, this doesn't mean I consider it an absolutely terrible episode, because there are some things I do like about it. I appreciate the idea of expanding the characters of all 4 moon goats by showing they each have a painful fear of getting pricked by a tattoo needle. It turns out Luna is only tough enough to get a tattoo in her own made-up fantasy, as we saw in Season 4. But hey, she at least made the attempt to build up a tolerance for pain and was willing to expose her cover-up when she had to save someone from drowning when no one else would. Luna actually proved to be the toughest and most heroic out of every moon goat in both scenarios, so she deserves a lot of credit for that. But at the same time, most of the story deals with little to nothing relating to music, the most defining part of Luna's character. In my opinion, it just doesn't feel like a Luna and/or Moon Goats episode, despite the band's frontwoman being the central character. I'll finish this review talking about some of the episode's minor yet perplexing eye catchers. It's revealed that Luna's signature paperclip earrings were just clip-ons the whole time. I guess those earrings she had in that flashback in Season 1 were also just a bunch of clip-ons. Also, she's depicted throughout the episode with only one paperclip hanging from her left ear, leaving the right one completely bare. Now, correct me if I'm wrong about past episodes, but wasn't she always drawn consistently with 2 paperclips, one hanging from each ear for the past 7 seasons? She even mentions the word earrings when talking to her siblings. And apparently this isn't even a one-off occurrence or animation goof. Ever since the beginning of Season 8, her right ear has been missing the trademark paperclip. I didn't even notice that until I started writing this review. I know it's a very minor detail and you probably wouldn't even notice unless someone were to point it out, but it just seems a bit nonsensical to make this sort of change after the better part of 7 seasons. The same thing applies to this episode's inaccurate depiction of Sam's ear piercings as well. I can't think of an explanation for any of these changes, and at this point it's probably not even worth my time trying to find one. And finally, there's the scene at the tattoo parlor where Chunk says that when the pain of getting ink becomes so unbearable, he has the capability of taking his soul out of his body to minimize the suffering. He even directly points to his own floating spirit, and even Luna can see it. Now, I understand how the show makes use of supernatural spirits, but out of everything that happens in this episode, this is the one moment where I believe many of us were thinking the same thing. What the f*** am I looking at here? How does Chunk do this? I don't even know. I can't make sense of it, and I'd rather not keep giving myself a headache trying to wrap my mind around this sort of thing every time it happens. But yes, while this episode is merely okay at best, this is one I personally wouldn't recommend if you're looking for something that plays true to the musical aspects of Luna's character. However, if you are looking for an episode that deals with a protagonist going through a personal and relatable struggle, then I would definitely recommend giving this one a watch. Speaking strictly for myself, this is one Luna episode I don't plan on revisiting as often as others. She may be my favorite character, but this is one episode that didn't do her character justice, as far as I'm concerned. With that said, I give The Weakest Ink a 7 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of The Weakest Ink. So I gotta ask, what did you guys think of this episode? Sound off in the comments below, and be sure to click that subscribe button for more Loud House related content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.